I say it again, you've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok. This is what he does.
Now let's come to this interesting part. What are the Islamic scholars saying about black people? What do they say? We're going to go through the centuries. So eventually, maybe they'll become more modern, and their opinion about black people maybe become more changed. And that's what we hope. We look at the first one. His name is Al Jahiz, and he was just 100+ years after the Prophet, 781 to 869, from a book called Kitab al-Bukhala. We know that the Zinj, or black people, Negroes, are the least intelligent and least discerning of mankind, and the least capable of understanding the consequences of actions. So black people have no intelligence whatsoever. That's what Al-Jahiz is saying. And our scholar Al-Jahiz from 781 to 869 continues from another book, Kitab al-Haywan. Kitab al-Haywan means book of animals. And you as a black person is mentioned in that book. Like the crow among mankind, the Zinj, or Negroes, black people, they're like the crow. They say, for they are the worst of all men. What are you, black man, black woman? You are the worst and most vicious of all creatures in character and temperament. And guess what? You are kindly mentioned in the book of animals. Do you think it's going to get better? Their opinions will change. Let's go to Ibn Qutayba later, few 200 years after almost 200 years after the death of Muhammad. Ibn Qutayba, 828 to 889. Blacks are ugly and misshapen because they live in a hot country. Misbah al-Haq, book that he wrote. So as a black person, you're Muslim, you whatever, you are ugly for a good reason and misshapen. You don't look normal because you live in a hot country. Do you think it's going to get better? Opinions will change maybe? Let's go and look at the Al-Maqdisi, 945 to 1000, and from Kitab al-Bad wal-Tarikh, and his history book. Al-Maqdisi, what does Al-Maqdisi say? He said, as for the Zinj, as for the Negroes, black people, they are people of black color, thank you, flat noses, kinky hair, again, nappy hair, and little understanding or intelligence. So he's describing their physical look, and he's describing their intelligence. He say, little or just none at all. This is from the history book. So sad. Let's continue. And this is from Misbah al-Haq. Ibn Sina is one of the most known scholars, supposedly very smart and intelligent. 980, 1037. Blacks are people by their very nature slaves. This is your allotment in life, is to be a slave, stick to it. From the book called Tasawwarat Rawdat al-Taslim, or Reflection, Nasruddin al-Tusi, 1201, 1274, we're coming to the 1200s, 13th century. Maybe opinions are better. The Negro does not differ from an animal in anything except the fact that his hands have been lifted up from the earth. Many have seen that the ape is more capable of being trained than the Negro and more intelligent. As a Negro, as a black person, in comparison, they compare you to an ape. The ape won. The ape can be trained. You cannot. This is Islam. Let's move on to Ibn Khaldun. Oh, 1332, 1406, 14th century. Ibn Khaldun from a book called Al-Muqaddimah, Volume 1, page 301. What are you telling us, Ibn Khaldun, about black people? Do you have a better opinion? The Negro nations are, as a rule, submissive to slavery because the Negroes have little human in them and have attributes that are quite similar to those of dumb animals. Beyond the known people of Black West Africa to the south, there are no civilizations in the people sense. Don't mention it, and don't talk about. Um, I guess he doesn't know about Terhaka, Kush Kingdom, the pharaohs that built the pyramids, and it was discounted from history. He said there's no civilization there. Don't even approach that. Ibn Khaldun continues from the same book, Al-Muqaddimah, Volume 1, page 301. He says, there are only humans who are closer to dumb animals than to rational beings. They live in the thickets and caves, and they eat herbs and unprepared grains. They frequently eat each other. They cannot be considered human beings. This is the final decision. Ibn Khaldun is saying, okay, you can try, classify them here or there or whatever. Like, no, they cannot be considered human beings. So you see where the attitude of the Arabian countries coming from. They get it. It's not independently gained. They are indoctrinated with these thoughts, teaching from their Quran, from their prophet, from their scholars, from their leaders. This is what they think about black people. And an abolishment of slavery that began in the 1800s, they had to pressure Muslim countries to abolish slavery. And until this day, today, 2023, there is hidden pockets of slavery in a bunch of countries. Let me just go over these countries. Bahrain abolished slavery and willingly in 1937. Number 2, Kuwait in 1949. Number 3, just recently we had the World Cup in Qatar, 1952. Just 70 years ago. Libya, number 4, 1957. Morocco had slavery until 1962. The biggest, Saudi Arabia and North Yemen, 1962 also. Algeria was just a little behind in 1963 to abolish slavery. They had to be forced. South Yemen, slavery, 1967. Oman, one of the beautiful countries, only 1970. Mauritania is just a few years ago. A lot of us were alive, during this time. There's still slavery in Mauritania, by the way. It's hidden. 1981, there's still slavery in Saudi Arabia in some pockets because not too many people are allowed in many places. But that's where they get their attitude. So as a black person, take all these references, study them, make your own conclusion. You can say, we're all free. You can say after all that, I